right. I will bring this regular city council meeting for the city of Dunsmuir to order at approximately 6:01 p.m. on Thursday, February 19th, 2026. If we could all please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Wendy, whenever you're ready, if I could have a roll call, please.
Council member Bryan and Sebring, I see, are absent.
Have excused absences.
Absences. Okay. And then we have Council member Clarno, Council member Hubbard.
Here.
And Mayor Lucchese.
Here, thank you. We'll now move into special presentations and announcements, and we have one special presentation tonight from the Collier Rest Stop Visitor Center. So I will hand it over to the clerk.
Hey, am I on? Am I on?
Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much for allowing me to come and for a short time to visit with you about the Collier Rest area. This is a pretty unique spot in Siskiyou County. My name is Rennie Cleveland. I live in Doris. I'm a third generation Siskiyou County kid that had the opportunity to come home. I've sat on the city council in the city of Doris, but for the most part, I'm a volunteer at heart. And when I was on the city council in 1993, the Collier Rest area was just beginning. We had some advocates from Wairika and Etna that tried to save the commercialization of this rest area. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's a pretty impressive spot. It is located, well, first of all, it's named after Randolph Collier, Senator Randolph Collier from Etna. He was born in Etna, a Siskiyou County kid. He was a senator in California. He ended up becoming very active in the freeway system in California and got the acronym Father of the California Freeway System. Pretty special spot, pretty special guy. And so bringing that around, people traveling highway, Interstate 5, select this spot because of its uniqueness. It's a beautiful spot. We get thousands of travelers every year through there, and they're stopping to use the restroom, to take a stretch or a break or get information. And what we provide at the Collier Interpretive Center is really a little bit of personal contact and context as to, number one, where they are, and in some of them don't even. So it's a pretty special spot. We get a chance to interact with those people traveling through. Now, in 1993, when we first opened the doors, Caltrans figured that there were roughly 700,000 vehicles that were stopping at Collier Rest area per year. And a few years later, in August of 2023, there were 87 of these rest areas in California, Collier being one of them. And Caltrans estimated that they had 100 million people per year using the rest area system. In a good year at Collier, we get maybe 20,000 people. At that either walk in the door, they use the restrooms and look at the outdoor advertising. But for the most part, it's being used very frequently. Last year in 2025, because of the dam removal and everything else going on in the country, we had 6,063 people that we recorded either coming through the door or visiting our outdoor displays. So even with a modest engagement, the travelers are choosing to stop and talk to us. We're sending them out to small communities and businesses throughout Siskiyou County. And whether they're going to Doris or Dunsmuir or Happy Camp or Etna, we've got a chance to influence their travel. So the key thing that I want to share with you is that we are not only an interpretive center or an information center, but we're also an interpretive center. The tourism, this is the inside wall just behind our kiosk, kind of gives you an idea of how we display the brochures that come from our communities in Siskiyou County. And whether it's Dunsmuir or there's a brochure that catches my eye right there on the left-hand side from Wairika. It gives the communities and the businesses within our communities a chance to advertise. And in concept, we rely on advertising. So we need businesses to see the value in our center, and advertise there. What we're looking at right now, let's go one more. This is our indoor advertising. We've got outdoor advertising in a standing kiosk. There's another kiosk or advertising board outside, but this is really Collier's attempt to share Siskiyou County with these travelers and to connect them with local businesses and communities. This is where they decide to do what's next. Direct their connection to local businesses, promote lodging, dining, recreation, events, represents the towns across the county, and it reaches the visitors before their plans are made. But today, some businesses partner with us and some people don't know about it, but there's more opportunities to be discovered. So what we're seeing here again, this is another board, display board that we have. Many local businesses, again, recognize the value and participate. However, many more still haven't taken advantage of this prime visibility. This means missed opportunities for both travelers and communities. And with thousands of people passing through each week, the potential economic impact is far greater than most realize. So why does it matter? Whether it's Dunsmuir or Doris, when those people are traveling on Interstate 5, Collier Rest Area, or the Collier Visitor Center, plays a very quiet but a significant role in its support for tourism by driving visitors into our town's parks and attractions. It supports local economies. It's got a public safety component because the rest area is essentially open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the Collier Center is not open that long, but the rest area itself is. So when we're there, we can share wildfire, weather, or travel information year-round. We make them aware of what's going on in our community, meaning Siskiyou County, by educating them on the resources, recreation, agriculture, and more. It also gives county some identity to these people. And quite frankly, they're coming from all over the world. When they stop by there, you never know who's going to walk in the door or where they're coming from. So our contact with those people is really important as to whether or not we can keep them in Siskiyou County for that hour or that day or that weekend. So when some boards ask, why does this matter to my community or my district? And the answer is simple. It's because this center represents your community, even if a traveler never drives directly through it. So again, it's a shared regional opportunity. It serves travelers headed across Siskiyou County and beyond. It's the first point of contact or the last for Lake Siskiyou, Klamath Basin, Scott Valley, Shasta Valley, Dunsmuir, Mount Shasta, McLeod, you name it, reaches visitors before they decide where to go or spend time. Last year, we got a substantial grant and put in an interpretive trail. The nature walk trail, we reached out to the Native American tribes, and it's basically an interpretive trail that describes the indigenous people and how they used that particular site for trading and bartering their hides and fish and but it expands the visibility for local programs, destination services, reflects the full diversity of Siskiyou County, and basically it's a stronger impact through collaboration. Now, what I'm asking for the Dunsmuir City Council is I want you to realize the fact that we have yet to, early on, we had representation from the Dunsmuir City Council. In theory, this is, well, not in theory, in reality, we are a joint powers authority, meaning that we have nine communities in Siskiyou County that are part of this JPA, and the city and the county of Siskiyou is also part of this JPA. So our board of directors represents one person from each of those 9 communities in Siskiyou County. Right now, Dunsmuir is not represented, but they have been in the past. And the county is represented, and like I said, in 1993, I was representing my community in Doris. So it's very important that we come together as communities in Siskiyou County, as chambers of commerce, as boards of supervisors, as county, or as Siskiyou County or city council members. It's really important that we come together in some kind of unity to help promote the Collier Rest area. Now, we need support, like I said, from board member support. We need support through business advertising or promotion of the community. But right now, we also need support with some type of financial assistance. We rely on advertising. Our advertising is low. If there's any kind of promotional grant or promotional opportunity that you can find some dollars to go towards the Collier Interpretive Center, we are a 501c3. We represent the, like I said, through the Joint Powers Authority. I have spoken recently with the Board of Supervisors. They are working with us. I spoke last week with the Weed City Council. I'm talking with you guys tonight. I've got next Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to be in Etna and Fort Jones, back over in Tule Lake. So I'm just trying to get the word out there to you guys. If you don't know anything about Collier, I wanted to kind of educate you a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for some type of representation on our board of directors. So with that, I thank you for the time and consideration. We appreciate the opportunity to share how this facility supports not only the county and the communities, and we look forward to continued conversations about how we can strengthen it together. You guys have any questions? I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Thank you, Rennie. And just for members of the public and council's edification, special presentations are not action items, so we won't be discussing or taking action tonight on those requests. But are there any clarifying questions from council members?
Not at this time.
All right, and then members of the public, we do have general public coming up where you can make comments on this, but Rennie, we'll be in contact with you on some next steps, and thank you for taking the time with us today. So, all right, I'm going to move us into general public comment. So tonight, this section of general public comment, you may approach the podium or you may raise your hand on Zoom to make a 3-minute comment. This would be related to items that you can make a comment on our special presentation we just heard, or items that are not on the agenda. And so I will now open it up. If there are members of the public who would like to speak, you can approach the podium or raise your hand now for items not on the agenda or in reference to our special presentation. All right, seeing none, we'll move out of general public comment over to council and staff comments, and I'll start with the sheriff's office. Do you have any updates tonight?
Other than Blake coming in on his
late at night fixing a door lock, being a master locksmith and electrician. Sergeant Ortiz actually said that he has something to report. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me, I'll try to answer them.
Okay. Any questions with Sheriff's Office today?
Not at this time.
No. All right, sounds good. And we'll take it over to interim city manager Michelson.
Right. Thank you so much, council. And Kubowitz, that was too kind. So just wanted to say kudos to the guys for out there and they're plowing. They've been up early, getting the streets cleared. So great job. Great job, crew. And then I also want to give a special shout out to Manya. We are in the throes of a financial software update. And so it's just been meetings after meetings. And so I just wanted to say thanks a lot to Manya for that. And hopefully you guys have seen the new check report. It's not called the register anymore. So it's a check report. But yeah, so there's a few changes there. And also great shout out to Wendy. The agenda has looked a little different as well. So trying to make a few little tweaks based off of council. And I think that's pretty much all I just want to update everybody on.
Thank you. Any questions for interim city manager Michelson?
No.
Right, seeing that, and I would like to say the minutes look really nice too. So thank you for
Oh, yeah.
updating the formats. All right, we'll now move into council member comments. Are there any comments for tonight? Councilmember Hubbard?
No.
Councilmember Claremont?
I do just also want to thank city staff for working on clearing the streets. It is going to switch from snow to rain here through this next storm. And I did just want to clarify here, I don't think we're going to be getting enough rain on top of the snow to have to worry about flooding, but with the public works building move, are the sand for the sandbags still going to be at the current or the old location, or are they going to be moved over to the new building?
Great question. We will leave the sand and the bags at the current facility at the empty lot. We got to figure out a fun name to call
Next to
that
the pool.
thing. Next to the pool. So they will be next to the pool. Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for that. And I really don't have any updates tonight, just working on a couple of items for council consideration coming up. So move into committee reports. I believe there was a finance committee meeting which resulted in an item that is on the agenda for tonight, but is there any other update from finance that you'd like to bring up?
Not at this time. Or was the other item?
We did discuss and finance committee did direct staff in the percentage breakdown of the distribution for the
Okay.
payments to the new buildings that were just purchased.
Yeah, and that was based off of council's direction to get that done. So no further action from council necessary. It was just deciding the breakdown on the how to break up the down payment amount and which funds that should be going into.
Great.
That's
And we attempted to have an economic development ad hoc committee, but people were unable to attend. So we did not hold that, but we will have one next month. And I will report out on that then. Great. We'll move into item G, which is approval of the minutes of February 5th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard, second by Councilmember Clarno. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move into the consent agenda. We have one item tonight for the consent agenda, which is approval of check register for January 31st through February 13th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Clarno, second by Councilmember Hubbard. All those in favor,
Sorry.
please.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Did you
Adopt.
ask if anyone wanted to pull any item?
I'm sorry?
Did you ask if anyone wanted to pull any consent item before moving for approval?
I did not. Is there anyone who would like to remove the item for
Nope.
approval? Thank you, David. As there's no removals, so we're back to the motion at hand, which is a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We do not have any old business or public hearings tonight, so we'll move into our first new business item, which is K1, which is the Park and Recreation lease discussion. Possible mutual agreement to end the lease agreement. I will send this over to interim city manager Michelson, and I thank you for Mike Rodriguez, executive director of the Parks District is here as well. So if you'd like to add anything to the staff report section before public comment, I'll invite you up after interim city manager's report.
Yeah, thank you so much, council. Yes, and thanks, Mike, for being here. So really, this item stems to the lease. So the city currently leases the ball field and the botanical gardens, which is like, that whole city park So that kind of whole conglomerate with the community center building. So the city leases that to the Park and Rec District for that $1 a year. And so the lease is included in the staff report. And I'll just jump right into the lease itself. So on page 12 of the agenda packet, so it's lease item number 11, right? So the district agrees to maintain, clean, such and so forth. And so Mike has recently come to the city saying that they, potentially are not able to abide by that, item any longer. So they kind of asked the city to essentially step in and do that procedure. And so that just kind of got me thinking, is there a way for the city? One option is the city just terminates the lease on its own. Two, the district maybe can terminate the lease on its own, saying it no longer can do these things anymore. Or potentially there's this third option, which, new document drawn up that just says we mutually agree, let's both agree to terminate the lease. So that's kind of the baseline item at hand. We can get into, maybe with some help from David, exactly what a motion might be. But in my opinion, just a generic motion would be to direct myself to work with them, officially enforce a mutual termination of the lease. So what that effectively means is then the Parks and Rec District would no longer be in charge of maintaining the property, the parcel, in its entirety, the ball field, Botanical Gardens, City Park area. There's further items to this whole piece, which I kind of spell out a little bit in the staff report, who is going to potentially, maintain or manage the bookings and things that are there. I don't necessarily want to get too far into that. That might be a separate future agenda item. I'm happy, I have a few ideas, but we can maybe discuss if need be. But for the basis of this particular item here, it's really what should we do with this lease and what should we do with this agreement that's currently in place between the city and the district. So I think with that, that's my idea of what the item is. So happy to hear questions if needed.
And then, Mr. Rodriguez, would you like to add anything to that report? Yes. And if you can just hold down that button on the microphone, please, to turn it on, we would appreciate it. Perfect.
Well, good evening. Thank you for giving me time to, and I just want to commend Blake for being so transparent with us. We've gone through a couple of transitional things with the Park District. Our staffing has been pretty much gone, but the city has pitched in to help us. On the sidebar, I want to thank Dennis and his crew for the plowing of the snow. Tomorrow we got a senior lunch program, and Saturday we got a birthday party, baby shower, and they came in today and cleaned it perfect. So I want to commend Blake and the staff for doing that. Yes, this lease has come up. There's a lot of, it's been drawn up many years ago. The park was formed in 1946. So I've been reviewing it with our legal counsel, and there's some questions about how it's worded. The discussion has come up if we should end the lease or work with the city. So I'm just here to check in with you guys, how we can work together. There was talk about the park managing the rec building, continue doing the reservations, those kind of things. But these are kind of fine-tuned items that we can probably work out. But as far as the lease, I think we need to look at it and see how we can make it workable for both parties, or terminate the lease, prepare a new one. Like I said, it was written in 1946. So, and we just been renewing it. So our lease currently goes to 2043. But I'm here to just thank the city for working with us, and if we can come to an agreement, I'm more than happy to do that.
Just a quick question, has the district board met on this yet?
It's been discussed. Nothing has been formally acted on. We're kind of waiting to see if the city, Blake he came to our meeting last week, and it was just discussed. There was no action, but I kind of want to see where the city's at. Our legal counsel has been working with us on options. Oh, okay. Anyway, so our legal counsel has been with us, working with us ever since this came up a couple of years ago. But yeah, we're more than happy to work with the city. I know that you're We got issues with dollars, so do we. So it's, hopefully we can come together and work together.
Are there any- Open this up for public comment.
So my simple clarifying question is, I know last summer that we already pretty much took over most of the maintenance on a lot of these facilities. So how is what we did last year different from what we're proposing? I mean, obviously, in the short term, how is what we did last year differing from what's going to be happening in the next couple months? If this lease, if you, the two of you are going to work together to terminate the lease.
Yeah, so I guess I was saying nothing is changing essentially. We're just now creating a formalized thing where the lease is essentially no longer in existence. I mean, it's basically not in existence now. I mean, the district is not adhering to that item 11, as I mentioned. So the city is doing that, and they're city assets anyway. It's city property. So it falls on the city to maintain it. Should a lease that specifies a leasee to be the one to maintain. But yeah, that's how I'd answer that question, if that does answer your question.
It does.
If I can add one comment, with the previous administration, it came up that the park would have entered into the city with a management agreement. And still manage the facilities, but work with the city. I know maintenance is a big issue. The baseball park and the city park, well, they're all great assets to the community. So, we can come up and work with the city on coming up with some plan. But I think the lease, we need to formally terminate it, cancel it, modify it, or whatever. Hopefully we can do that because we have a lot of things coming up this summer. We got reservations already in the books. Brewfest called, and they're going to have their Brewfest on August 1st. The softball tournament. We got some out of town teams that want to use the ballpark. We got weddings in the city park. We got all kinds of building rentals. So we can still do those things, but we need to find out what the city is willing to work with us on, or where, or what direction it's going to go.
Thank you. Any other clarifying questions? All right, seeing none, I will open this up for general public comment now. If you'd like to make a comment as a member of the public, you can either, Mr. Rodriguez is our really only in person. So if you are on Zoom and would like to make a public comment related to the mutual termination of lease agreement between City and Parks and Rec for Ball Field and City Park, please raise your hand on Zoom and you'll have 3 minutes if you'd like to make a comment on this. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and Mr. Rodriguez, you can have a seat if you'd like, and I will bring it back to discussion for the council members. Councilmember Hubbard, would you like to lead us off with your thoughts on this?
Well, I guess I just don't quite understand. So nothing's going to change officially. What's the point?
The point is essentially to do something with this actual lease document. So there is a current lease in effect.
Okay.
So the city should theoretically do something with it, whether that is, go to the district and say, hey, district, you're not adhering to, number 11, so forth. Can you take action to do that?
Okay.
So it's up to the city to kind of say, we need to do something here.
Right. Bring it to the forefront and say, hey, let's do something about this, specifically item 11.
Yeah. And so right. There are, and that's just like one example, right? I mean, it does get, multifaceted, and that's just an easy thing to point out and look at with this actual lease.
Okay.
And so it just really is a combination. It comes down to the relationship between the city and the district, according to this particular lease.
Okay.
And how council would like to move forward with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we do need to do something.
Yeah, something's got to be done.
Yeah.
We had talked about it. I can't remember if it was 2 years ago now, or 2 years ago now. I think it was right before you were on council. We had a joint meeting with the Parks Board to kind of discuss what that relationship would look like. And it kind of was moving in a pretty positive direction. And that was at the time that the maintenance worker had passed away or retired, I believe, before he passed on. But that's when we had taken it over. And I believe what had happened at that point, and if I can remember the action correctly, I believe we authorized the city manager at that time to step in and temporarily help out the Parks District to meet that condition 11. Excuse me. I just don't think we've gotten back to it yet, just with our current workload. It was an item we were going to come back and revisit
Gotcha.
and kind of clean this up. Obviously, it's part of our hierarchy of agreements that were negotiated prior to our existence that we wanted to clean up. So it was kind of, I think it's like one of the last few, because Clemens was like 1980 something, but we're trying to clean up and bring our agreements into current legal kind of fashion.
Makes sense. Thank you.
So that's kind of part of the history of that, but I'll pass it over to Councilmember Clarno if you have anything else you'd like to discuss on the matter.
I do, and then I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
First off, I think talking about terminating is kind of putting a little bit of the cart before the horse. I'd kind of like to have a little bit more of an idea on what's going to be replacing that agreement. Before we move to terminate the current one, how, I do acknowledge that the current one is kind of, it's old. It does need to be replaced. We do need to do something for it. So I would like to make the motion to continue on with the temporary services that we're providing for the next 6 months. I think would be an appropriate number that gets us into the summer. And then direct the interim city manager to work with the attorney, Parks and Rec District, to come up with what would be replacing this lease. And then once we have that, then we can potentially move to terminate or replace.
So for the sake of the clerk, I'll have you restate your motion a little bit more
Yes.
precisely. But
Sounds good. I can do that.
prior to that,
Okay.
prior to that, I just want to go over to city attorney, Mr. Lim. Is there anything you'd like to add to the discussion? I know we didn't invite you into the initial questions, but is there any point you'd like to make in terms of process that we should be following for this?
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, sorry, I didn't, I wasn't involved with these discussions. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying, fascinating discussion. I literally had to relook to see how old this hearing was. So it's pretty awesome to look at something, that predates all of us in the room. I think staff has a great handle on this. I think council's got a great handle on it. I'll just highlight a couple things just to remind folks. So I think it's safest if the lease is going to be terminated, that it be by mutual agreement of both parties. I think a unilateral agreement, there's nothing in the language of this lease that talks about how to terminate it. Usually in more modern agreements, there's some language about, parties have to jointly agree or one party can terminate. There's nothing in here that says who can terminate it. So my recommendation, especially since the Park District seems to have an attorney, is that everything be done by mutual agreement and obviously be done in writing and then approved by both the city council and the district board. There is the provision, as Mr. Michelson noted in paragraph 11, that allows the city to declare the district in default and then terminate the lease that way for being in default. But I think, the goodwill that everyone's developed, usually, a default indicates some sort of bad action. And I don't think anyone is suggesting that by anybody, unless I'm reading the room incorrectly. So I don't recommend that you go by way of default on the paragraph 11. However, if you were, it's my legal opinion that I think the city manager has the authority to ask for the default and then bring it back to the council for termination at that point. But again, it sounds like staff is moving in direction and has been moving in direction of working with district staff and the attorney for the district. So again, I think it's just a matter of, I think Councilmember Clarno's motion is to do just that, to instruct the interim city manager to work with the district on an alternative. And I think any alternative can include termination of this lease and formation of a new agreement with the Park District, whatever the council wants. But I think ultimately any decision should come in the form of a resolution with the new agreement, and it'll need to be approved by both the city council and the Park District. I'll take any questions in there.
Sorry, I was trying to summarize what Councilmember Clarno was stating earlier, so it was shorter. had it written down, so I had just added
Yeah.
and sent over to him some proposal to try and figure out that, so it's
I'll-
not.
And I'm sorry, I had one more thing, just, I thought about that
Yeah.
when, Councilmember Clark was making. I actually don't think you need a motion in this case. I think you can just, if you have consensus on direction that you want to give Blake, you can just say,
Just
and I think what I heard, Councilmember Klarna say was, continue with, the services and, continue discussions with the district, including their attorney, on a replacement of the current lease agreement. And I think that's a broad enough direction for Blake to go forth, and then he can bring back whatever he gets to you all for further direction and or a resolution and termination of roles. So, but you can do whatever you want. Sorry, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. So
No,
if
you're
you want
good.
to go with a motion, you can do it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, is there any dissent to what Michael was talking about?
No.
Okay, so yeah, I'm in agreement that I think we can essentially move forward. I think the general consensus is that we're supportive of the interim city manager and city attorney negotiating a new lease and terminating the old one or replacing the old one. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Sweet. All right, thank you. Simple. Great. Move on to item K2, which is the city property ad hoc discussion, old public works site between pool and community center. I had proposed this one at the last meeting. I apologize, there wasn't a resolution in the packet. I have provided public copies of the resolution, and I'll kind of just summarize the proposal as it sits right now. Essentially, I prepared for council consideration a resolution of the city council to authorize the creation of a city property ad hoc committee and defining the committee purpose and parameters. It's very specifically focused on the real property of assessor's parcel number 059-060-150-000, which is the property as we know it between the pool and the community center over by the city park. And so essentially the city of Dunsmuir had the need to replace a public works building because the Union Pacific had taken away the lease for our old one. We were going to build a new one between the pool and community center because it's a city-owned property, centrally located. There were a number of meetings on why that site was chosen and that project direction was chosen at the time. But due to escalating costs and timeframes for the construction of a new building, the city council at their last meeting authorized the purchase of 2 buildings for that purpose. And the conversation of what do we do with this new vacant parcel that's going to be essentially site ready and done. So this is essentially just assigning 2 council members to work on an ad hoc committee with staff to talk about different ideas for that. I kept it very broad in terms of the deliverable would just be a recommendation to the city council based off of community input. I know community engagement was an important part that got brought up at the last meeting. And we do not have to make a decision about this today. So if we did want to wait for the other council members present to have this discussion, we can. But I just wanted to put it out there that if we did want to move on this tonight, we wouldn't appoint anyone to it tonight. That would be at the next meeting. But I at least wanted to start the discussion and let, members of the public know that, we are thinking about what that redevelopment looks like. So I'll take any clarifying questions before I go to public comment.
No questions.
All right, if you'd like to publicly comment on the potential formation of a city property ad hoc committee to discuss the vacant parcel between the pool and community center, please approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. And then if you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand and you will also have 3 minutes. So Mike, if you want to come up and just turn on the mic again, take that. Perfect.
Okay, well, thanks again for the opportunity to speak on this project. Yes, a couple of years ago, we were asked to move our office because they're going to tear the building down. It was going to be a dual operational facility, Public Works and Parks and Rec. Well, the plans have changed. So my office is in the rec center building in the closet. So I'm wondering, where are we going to be located, or are we going to have to find a place? It's not the ideal place for my office, but I do meet with people in the hall. It's kind of a big hall for meetings, but I don't mind doing that. I just want to find out the consensus of the city. Is the park district going to be considered for an office space somewhere, or we're going to be where we're at?
Thank you. All right, are there any other sorry, not general, but any public comment on this item on Zoom? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment and move us into discussion. How would the council like to proceed? Do you want to table this item for the next time?
First off, I would like to table this item for the next meeting. I would just like to, before we do that though, just address the public comment that was made. Just as we were kicked out from down there and told you have to find something and we're not helping you, I don't want to do that to you and Parks and Rec. So hopefully in this whole process, whoever the committee is can work towards finding a solution that works for both the city and Parks and Rec. I don't know if you and Dennis have discussed that at all.
Oh, we discuss that building quite often.
No, I'm saying
Quite a lot.
the,
Of where to put
Or
Park and
Parks
Rec.
yeah.
We discussed that currently there's no spot that we would necessarily place them. So if it was council direction, we would be happy to abide by that. But at this point, yeah, there's no space that we have in. So I've talked with Mike and informed him that as the director of the Parks and Rec District, you know, he has the ability to find spaces
okay.
that they can do, but that will gladly help them in any way that we can, of course. And it's always been a great relationship, just to reiterate that point. So
Yeah.
We wish there was lots more space all around, but fortunately, sometimes there just isn't enough space. And so.
All right.
Any other items up for discussion?
No, I agree. I think it's a tabled item tonight.
All right, so I think there's a general consensus to table this item to the next city council meeting. Which I will let everyone know, Councilmember Brian and myself will not be at the next meeting. And so if we could put this on for the second meeting of March, I would appreciate that. Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. So efficient.
Yeah.
We'll move on to item K3, which is approval of Finance Committee's recommendation on awarding of waterfall grants and plan for remaining balance of budgeted funds. I will hand it over to.
You want me to take this one?
I mean, I would toss over to Michael, but I'll just real quick just say that the Finance Committee did a wonderful job, spent 2.5, maybe a little over 2.5, 2 hours and 45 minutes going through every single proposal, going through the scoring rubric. And so I just wanted to say a great job to them for doing that. And it showed a real, necessity for the rubric itself and all of that. So I just wanted to say good job to them. And then, yes, if I'll jump in whenever you need, Michael.
Cool, awesome. If, since you, I think, have a little more space on the laptop, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the details on the individual grants, if I can't remember which one is which, I would appreciate that. I have them on my phone, but the screen's a little small, so. So just to start off, as everyone knows, we did reorganize the grant program a little bit. We had a lot of people apply for the $10,000 level. However, we didn't have anyone apply for the $1,000 level. We had 8 groups apply for the $10,000 level, and there were only 2 available. So we had to whittle those down to the final 2. We had 4 available for the $5,000 level. We only approved 1 of those, and the other 2 we rejected as they didn't quite meet the program qualifications. And then at the $2,500 level, we had 4 available and 3 were awarded. So we had still have 1 available, and then no one applied for any of the $1,000 grant levels. So just to kind of go over what was awarded at the $2,500 level, the Chamber of Commerce, what was the $2,500 one for the Chamber between theirs and the?
Either marketing or downtown beautification.
Yes, the marketing was the 2,500. So the $2,500 chamber grant was for a marketing program, digital marketing program that they want to do. They have an additional 2,500 that they want to put towards this marketing program as well, in order to kind of boost visitation, get more people into local businesses and at local attractions. The Community Resource Center also won their $2,500 grant. And that one there, 2,500 was for. Yeah, regardless, they won their 2,500 level. The Siskiyou Art Museum also won their 2,500 level. The 2,500 level for the Siskiyou Art Museum was for the makerspace, which is located beneath the main museum. It's just for some quality of life improvements, and to hopefully, and with these improvements, they'll be able to add some additional sessions in there. Currently, I believe they're doing one a week.
Yep.
And I think they're hoping with this, they could move a little bit closer towards 2 a week. Um,
And the resource center was for like the farmer's market aspect.
that was the farmer's market one. Okay. The 2,500 for the resource center was to do matching funds for EBT for the farmer's market. Mhm. Several of these groups had multiple levels of applications, and it was hard to remember which one was at the 5,000, which was at the 2,500. The chamber got won $5,000 level for the grant, and that one was for downtown beautification. The main ones are flower pots, self-watering flower pots to lower upkeep. There was some flags to go on the light poles, just multiple things that'll make the downtown a little nicer. The other $5,000 ones unfortunately did not meet the program qualifications, or there was one with the library, which was relating to the building. And since that was relating to the building, which is the city-owned building, we wanted to get a little bit more clarification on exactly how that would work, since it was a city-owned building.
And it's on that Dennis and I have discussed, and I will be reaching out to Karen and talking with the Friends of the Dunsmuir Library group.
Mhm.
And most likely we'll be moving that forward, but.
Okay, so I'll get back to that here in a minute when we talk about what to do with the rest of these funds.
When you do look at that, just really quick, maybe that's a conversation with David, because it is a city-owned property, and if it is related to rehabbing that wall, that may be a public works project, which requires prevailing wage.
It is under a threshold. It's only $5,000, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was part of the discussion on
Yeah.
why we
Yeah.
didn't award the grant.
Yeah.
At the time, is there was just not enough information. We
Yeah.
needed clarification on a lot of different things.
But sometimes people will come in and say, well, we can do it for 5,000. But then when you actually start looking at the type of worker, I just had to do a whole CDBG thing on labor stuff. And so, but even if you have that type of worker, they still have to be looked at as a public works project. So even if they come up and say, well, we've got, volunteers, but it's based off of the type of work.
right?
Yeah. So I would just caution that one and keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So for the most part, at the $5,000 and $2,500 level, since we had less people apply than we had grants available, the main focus there was just making sure they met the program guidelines to be eligible. Not necessarily, the scoring didn't really matter as much as long as they met the guidelines. We used a new scoring rubric for the $10,000 level, as there was a lot of competition there. Several of those were disqualified as they didn't meet the program guidelines or didn't meet information, or didn't have an attached budget or things like that. The two that did the best out of the ones that met the qualification.
So real quick, 5 of them were scored.
Yes, 5 of
And
them
then,
scored.
and then we averaged out the scores.
We averaged out the scores per person, or for the group. We averaged the scores for each individual item, and the 2 winners were Dunsmuir High School and the Mount Shasta Pickleball Club. So just to go over those 2, the Mount Shasta Pickleball Club's proposal is to resurface the tennis courts, and then do pickleball lines and have a app locking box at the court that someone who has these specific pickleball apps can go in. Originally, it might involve calling the Ken Brunel Smith, who I see is on Zoom today, to get the combination to open the box, and then there'll be 2 nets that can be put up and then put back in the box when that's done. Just since you're here, Ken, would you like to speak just a minute about your?
I think what we're gonna do for procedure at this point is we're gonna finish
Gotcha.
the report, and then we'll do clarifying questions, and then Ken, I'll have you go first during public comment to speak to your application.
Perfect. Sounds great. So basically, it's just going to be revitalizing the tennis courts, having multiple uses for them, which I think is, which the committee felt would be great for the community. The second one is for, the second winner was the high school, the big tiger eye mural on the front of the gym, unfortunately had to be removed due to the the reciting that they had to do on the building. So this is to help fund the reinstallation of that mural. One thing we really liked about this project is that they were also going to use it as a teaching opportunity to the students, to give them some vocational training and some experience in what goes into a large painting project. What do painting contractors need? How that entire process works. And we really like the fact that they were bringing the students into it as well and using it as a teaching experience. And then the last thing I want to get into is, as we said, there's people who didn't make it just because the grant applications weren't complete. We have available grants left over at the $5,000, $2,500, and $1,000 level. My proposal for those is to reopen the grant program with 3 $5,000, 1 $2,500, and 4 $1,000 grants, basically the remaining grants that were not filled. And then either the groups that did not make it can reapply with a slightly different tweaks to their project, or even allow new groups to apply. My suggestion is my suggestion is that we have those open for approximately 1 month, maybe running from, as long as city staff doesn't get in your way too much, maybe running from March 1st to March 30th. Yeah.
But
yeah, but just basically from 1 month, and then starting in March, and then go through the process again. I'm also at that time more than willing to, or more than happy to help any of the groups who didn't make it the first time, talk to them, give them some information as to why, how they can kind of tweak any proposals to fit within the program, and hopefully get some money at those other levels. So,
any
right.
clarifying questions?
No.
All right, I'll open this up for public comment, and Ken, I'll have you go first if you'd like to speak to your application. Yeah, no, you're good. There you go, Ken.
Thank you. Okay. So thanks very much for this opportunity. You know my name. I'm the USA Pickleball Ambassador for Siskiyou County, and I've been supporting different communities in the county building pickleball courts for about 6 years. We've been able to successfully have courts built now in Etna, at Etna High School, in Montague, in Wairika near the high school, a private court, and of course at Mount Shasta Resort. But you might be surprised to know the first pickleball courts in Siskiyou County were in Dunsmuir, and a group of volunteers painted lines on those courts, and they worked for a couple of years, really for about 5 years, and then Mount Shasta Resort started getting much bigger, and so a lot of the Dunsmuir players started coming to Mount Shasta Resort. However, people want to come to Dunsmuir, and you've also had the resurgence of a number of hotels there, motels and hotels, and it's a very big travel thing now that people who are traveling will look up places to play, and that's actually one app that we all use, and just find places to play, and another one called Playtime Scheduler, where they can actually reach out to players in that area to set up a playtime on the courts. So I think it's a perfect time to start expanding pickleball back to Dunsmuir where it started, and I'm sure that we'll see a rise in the number, its use this time, because it's so much bigger than it was in 2018 when things just kind of got started in pickleball. We also have a special opportunity that Steve Sluice, who owns JSE Courts, he's incredibly supportive of, he does courts all over the country, but he lives here in Weed, and he's very supportive of pickleball in Siskiyou County, and he does our courts every time we need him, which is about every 2 years, but we have a different situation infrastructure wise than you do there. You actually have a better place for having courts than we do. And so he just loves us, and he always does us favors. And a favor he's doing in this proposal that wasn't actually included in the budget per se was that he's donating $3,000 worth of paint that he has left over from the season that just finished that he'll use for the painting. So basically what has to happen is they have to be resurfaced. They're very pockmarked right now. There's an area of deterioration on the west side that's going to have to be dug out and then filled in there. And then it'll all be painted with brand new paint. And it'll have tennis courts, one tennis court as it always had, and then one pickleball court on each side of the tennis net. Ideally, you can put 4 pickleball courts on a tennis court, but the
Hey,
size
Ken.
of, yep,
I apologize for interrupting, but that is your 3 minutes. If you'd like to just close out really quick, I'll let you have like 1 or 2 more sentences.
great. Okay, sorry for going over. I'm just hopeful that you guys will see this as a benefit to the Dunsmuir community, and we'll move on it.
Thank you, Ken. All right, are there any other comments on this item? Members of the public online, again, can go to the reactions tab and raise your hand, and you'll have 3 minutes and 2 sentences. All right, seeing no other public comment, I will close the public comment for this item and go into discussion. And since Councilmember Claire, now you said.
I did forget to mention this. There was one item, and I don't know if you discussed this with Ken at all. One caveat here is that they did want to have a name associated with the court, and Finance Committee did not feel like it was their purview to be allowed to name things in town, or the Finance Committee's purview. So any naming rights go through City Council if we deem that appropriate. So just the naming rights are separate from, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I was curious about that too. I was like, I saw that note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one caveat on that one. But really that's the only addition I have other than what was already said.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Nothing else.
All right. I think, thank you to the Finance Committee. This is a lot of work. This is like our, probably 6th year of doing this type of program, but like, this is probably the most efficient it's been. And I think it speaks volumes to the fact that we don't have a huge crowd of people yelling at us, telling us we're horrible, which usually happens every time we do this program. So thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, I'm happy with the recommendation. I'm happy to have it go back out for people to restructure their applications. I think it's a great suggestion. And so I will make the motion to award.
The numbers have changed down there. It's
Yes, I believe that's
just
suggested.
FYI, if you're going to make the motion, it's 3, 1, and 2, and then reopen 3, 1, and 4.
So, and so the reopening, it would be how many hedge?
3 Hedge Creek, 1 Root Creek, and 4 Bursars. Yep.
All right. So I'll make a motion to award the Finance Committee's recommended 3 Root Creek, 1 Hedge Creek, and 2 Moss Spray Falls awards, and reopen the funding application process to award 3 Hedge Creek, 1 Root Creek, and 4 Burstar grants by the end of May.
I'll second.
All right, motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Hubbard. We've already approved the appropriation for this. We're good. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. And again, thank you to the Finance Committee, to our city staff, and everybody who facilitated that program. All right, we'll move now into future agenda items. We have a number of future agenda items that were brought up at the last meeting, and then others that are kind of outstanding. Are there any future agenda items or any questions on that? All right. Seeing none, we'll now move into item M, which is our adjournment into closed session. But prior to that, there is public comment available on the closed session item. And so tonight we will be adjourning into closed session for conference with labor negotiator, government code section 54957.6. Position city manager, designated representative is WBCP Inc. Lauren, who is our contractor working with us on the executive search. So if you would like to make a public comment related to this, you may approach the podium or raise your hand on Zoom for 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, we will now adjourn into closed session. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We will come back into open session after, but it may be some time before we do that, but you're happy to do that. But we will now clear the room.